Good evening, welcome to tonight's council meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First thing I'm gonna ask for is any agenda changes.
None from staff this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Next, I'll open up for public forum. If you'd like to address the council, now's the time. Come to the podium, give your name and address and why you're here.
Is that on now too? Yes. I pushed. Okay, there we go. All right. My name's Kevin Henderson, Halstead resident. In November, the residents of Halstead voted an ordinance into place to ban commercial level vests inside Halstead city limits. And here we are at the end of December and nothing has been publicly acknowledged about that. Not in the city meeting minutes, not publicly in the city county record. And I'd like to ask the council and administration why that is, and do they plan on rectifying that situation?
Ethan, do you have anything to say about that?
Per the ballot measure and the state statute, once it was formally approved, it's adopted.
Yeah.
So it's a valid and binding ordinance of the city. And we've just been waiting on our official copy from the county to get it uploaded to the city's website, but
Okay, well, that
should be
explains
there by
that.
the end of the year.
I've had a number of people asking that question, and I was assured that yes, it was in fact in force, but we had not seen anything publicly on that. So there was a number of people in Halstead asking that question. Thank you all very much, and thank you for the answer.
All right, anybody else wishing to address public forum? Name and address, please.
Carl Muskimmons, Halstead. First, Mr. Mayor, we haven't always seen eye to eye. There's some good things, some bad things. I want to personally thank you for the good things that you've done for the community. I know not everybody's going to agree with me on that, but you did do a lot of good things for our community. I'm not going to get into any of the other stuff, but thank you for what you did accomplish in your term here. Lastly, I sent out emails to everybody, and I had a couple opportunities to talk to Mr. Torres and Robinson about the city maintenance and the purchase of a $350,000 dump truck. First, I want to say if we need something of that magnitude that is going to provide a service to the city on a continual basis, hands down, I'm for upgrading stuff. The current truck that they're wanting to get rid of, yes, it's a state truck. Yes, it's an older truck. We don't drive that truck every day, or excuse me, they don't drive that truck every day. It's used every once in a great while. At that council meeting, Mr. Adams had made comment to the fact that it'd be nice to have that dump truck so they could haul material to 10th Street. How often do we haul gravel to 10th Street? Is it $350,000 worth? I don't think so. It was also brought out that, like the tree limb issue we had, that we had to hire people to come in. I'm sure that's a whole lot cheaper than a $350,000 truck. The last thing on that is the way our equipment is taken care of. I posted, I think, 45 pictures to each one of you guys. Is that about right? Less than desirable. We have a brand new high loader down there with a broken windshield. We got leaks on everything that they have, hydraulic fluid, oil, you name it. I know our maintenance department is small, but the key word is maintenance. And if we're gonna have these high dollar pieces of equipment, which we do, I think they need to be maintained. When we built that building down there, it was spec'd out with a wash bay. And that wash bay was supposed to be used to keep our equipment clean, keep our city pickups clean, etc. That's not the case. We have equipment down there sitting under the lean-to, such as a crack sealer. We don't use it. We hire that work done. Why do we have it? So I don't wanna hammer so hard on the maintenance, but spending that kind of money and the kind of money that we have spent recently on the equipment that's not maintained and taken care of, I think we need to think a little bit longer and harder about it, cause it just doesn't wash. Our roads have been a real big item. Several people on Walnut Street has come in and hollered about 10th Street, Walnut Street, the dirt streets. And Pat has a Tonka grader that they have to try to use. My suggestion is, since we hire a lot of our work done, why don't we hire Becker Building to come in once a month, whatever it is, to hit our streets? They got the equipment to do it, the knowledge, the manpower to hop in that great big grader, come down, take care of it, and be able to drive on them. I'm not up here to slam you guys, slam Pat. I just think the $350,000 is very excessive for what we need at this point. Thank you. And again, thank you, Dennis.
Thanks, Carl. Anybody else here wishing to address the council? Seeing no movement from the gallery, I'll go ahead and close the public forum and go on and ask for the approval of the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, after having reviewed the consent agenda, if there's no questions or discussion, I make a motion to approve it as submitted.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Can I
Aye.
ask a question?
Sure,
first?
Jim.
That's why I hesitated just a little bit. I see that the fire engine is in here.
Mhm.
Does that mean we're going to get it soon?
Yeah, Andy's actually driving back from Georgia.
I was wondering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he on his way back now?
I know he went to look at it, and that's why I was wondering about it. That's why I asked.
She are on the road.
That was my only question. That's why I hesitated a little
I'm
bit.
confused. Did we vote on the consent agenda then?
Yes.
Okay,
No.
Julie's got it. So it passed.
We have the motions.
All right, no public hearing this evening, no unfinished business, so we'll move right away into new business. And our favorite thing, city utility rate updates, we've got several ordinances on these. Ethan, would you like to present anything on those?
Yeah, give me just 1 second here, sorry. You have, we will start with, the gas rates. And just note, the agenda memo in there had that explained, but we've, for the last 3 years, had the overhead margin fee has remained flat for the city. We're proposing, as going back to the 5-year gradual increase cycle, as the gas system and all of our utilities have continued to be affected by ongoing inflation of costs. Essentially a 5 cent per MCF fee per year for the next 5 years, which equates to about a 1.5% per year on gas. Stormwater, we are proposing a 10 cent per month fee on that. Again, the stormwater rate has stayed flat for the last 3 years. So this is the first adjustment up since that time. Just again, putting that back on a 5-year gradual increase. Water has an increase to the base charge from $23.50 up to $24, and then maintains the 2% on the overage consumption rates per gallon. And I will note that we are proposing the water and wastewater just to put them on the same 5-year cycles as the other utilities. And then on wastewater, the largest thing there is it's keeping the rates that were in the previous ordinance as far as the minimum rate and the consumption rate. But it is adding a $3 a month sewer capital fee, and that's being done in anticipation of the wastewater treatment plant and to stair step what we're going to see at the end of that. If you all remember, I mean, they were talking a sewer monthly rate of around $45 to $50 with a $4.5 million project, so we need to be proactive in that, otherwise it will be a much larger increase for everyone
I
when that
agree with
project's
being
done.
proactive, but I think we should have saved this for the new mayor, so he was raised all the way.
My question, Ethan, is, I know that you mentioned it, just so I can get my mind around it a little bit, because I read it back and forth.
Yeah.
Is, are we doing them all in the same year, or are we gonna stagger them in, or?
Yeah, everything basically has a new rate, and then it puts it back on like the 5 where there's
I
gradual for the next
Yeah, I
5.
understand that one, because we used to do that all the time.
Yep.
But I just wanted to clear that up in my head and to.
Yeah, and this gets it, we had kind of fallen off cycle as we, evaluate every year and come back and adjust because, those are 5-year plans and things can change.
Sure.
But this puts them all basically where they're covering the same 5-year window now, where some years it was,
Right.
wastewater was
I just
valid for another 2 years, but water wasn't. And
I just wanted to make sure I was seeing what I was seeing, but basically, we're gonna have people ask, and they should, what kind of difference it is in a monthly bill with all 4 of them together. I know that everybody's gonna be different because of the rates they use and the amounts they use. I just, is this something we're going to publish, or can we?
yeah,
So there's no surprise and everybody knows what they're gonna see, and
yeah. So the increase annual cost for the average utility customer, and this is like a water user at 5,000 gallons, also for wastewater. And then stormwater's flat regardless. And gas obviously is the hardest one to pin down because the cost
we
of
don't
gas
know, yeah.
varies and can vary greatly month to month in terms of the actual cost to us. But we estimate it would be around $75 to $85 a year, or around $7 per month for the average.
Will there be a Reader's Digest version of this on the city's website?
We can put one out.
I would think that
I
would be
would think
great,
so.
then people won't have to ask. And I had it figured at $6.25 to $7, so that was pretty close when I figured it up, so, for an average.
Yep.
So, just so people know. Okay, thank you.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, there's no more questions or discussion. I would make a motion to approve ordinance number 1351, an ordinance updating the gas rates for the city of Halstead.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 1351. All in favor, say aye.
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 Pose same sign, that one carries.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve ordinance number 1352, an ordinance updating the stormwater rates for the city of Halstead.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 1352. All in favor, say aye.
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 Pose same sign.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve ordinance number 1353, an ordinance updating the water rate for the city of Halstead.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to update ordinance number, or to approve ordinance number 1353. All in favor, say aye.
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 That, opposed, same sign, that stands.
And Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve ordinance number 1354, an ordinance updating the wastewater rates for the city of Halstead.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 1354. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, that one carries.
However, I'm not sure that's gonna be aggressive enough for the wastewater.
Eventually, it's not gonna be, and really, out of all those funds.
I'm sorry,
wastewater-
I just don't think it is.
No, I don't either.
That's probably the biggest increase of all 4 utilities was wastewater at that $3 a month.
Well-
That'd be correct, and
Yeah.
it's still not gonna be enough to cover. the
When we're
cost.
looking at a $4 million unit, of which we got a funding for significant amount of that.
Yeah.
We're just gonna have.
It'll be
to
2.5.
look at it.
And if it's gonna be,
And as that gets closer to the end and the project's finalized, part of that process is because we are using sewer rates as the financial guarantee of that, the state actually makes us come in, and at that point, like, they'll do a final rate and say, like, this is what you need to set your rate at to make us comfortable with your debt service. So,
leave it to the state.
Next item, utility ambulance bad debt write-offs. Guido.
This is just, I mean, it's a housekeeping item. I'll give kudos to Julie and her staff for going back and researching. You essentially had the debt summaries there. This is essentially very old and outstanding debt that's been like in the state set-off program, has been in collection agencies. For the case of the utility debt, we have all the way back from 1997 through 2013 is covered in that. That was approximately 26,000, just a little shy. And, you know, as the debt gets older, it becomes potentially more problematic for us if we want to keep it on our books, because the chances that there was a bankruptcy, you know, so we'll erroneously collect, and somehow that got missed, you know, in previous, or, you know, deceased, we just never got notification of a deceased account, things of that nature. So this is just clearing it off. Again, it's been an active collection since, you know, the oldest one, 1997, and we haven't collected it. We've lived without the revenue this long. It's better in talking with our auditors if we just clear this off and don't still continue to carry these as outstanding receivables, basically, for us. And then on EMS billing debt, and I will gladly let Julie answer any specific questions you guys might have. Much higher amount, 124, again, with it being medical debt. This is newer, but these are, again, accounts that have deceased, where the staff is exhausted, all of our appeals process, you know, to try and get insurance companies to pay, that kind of thing. And again, we just view this as debt that the city has no real chance of collecting, so.
One thing I will say, having worked in fire EMS for many years, I understand this completely. Plus, I have the advantage of, my wife did EMS billing for the first 5 years that I was here when she come and worked for the city also. This stuff can be impossible. Yeah, literally impossible, especially if they're deceased. And some of them have no means to start with, to pay the bill. And there's just no place to go to collect it. And it stays there for years, and you can keep turning it in, but there's no place to go for it to to be taken care of. So I understand that one, and I understand the utility ones too, because we all know that people leave and they go away, and then they and that happens in a city, unfortunately.
Is there ever been any thought to having just a 7-year, it's done, 10 years, it's done? You know,
Yeah,
so
we
don't have to carry it this long?
I say our hope is, and that's a project, again, that I want to give kudos to staff of, it's not been done. And so our hope is now annually, you'll see much smaller amounts, and we'll basically keep it ongoing or not allow it to go, you know, for a decade before we start to look and clear.
Yeah,
And
that
that's
could've-
basically what we kind of approached.
That could have accrued a lot of interest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so.
could have.
Yeah.
Never will.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve staff write-off uncollectible utility and ambulance account balances as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this bad debt write-off. All in favor, say aye.
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 Pose same sign. That carries. Next item under new business is council room audio video equipment updates.
Thank you. Well, as you all have probably noticed this year, we have had more issues with failing components where we've, you know, not been able to go to broadcast or had delays. So we met with Conference Technologies, who was the vendor that did this original setup. All of our new equipment was funded back in 2020, and we used CARES Act funding to help implement that. Most of our equipment is at its end of life stage, so they're having trouble, you know, buying certain specific, you know, repair components or anything for the actual system. We also did the 2 conference rooms at that time. I want to be very clear that this proposal is only for the council room. The conference rooms are still adequate for what we use them for and no more than we use those. So this would be specific. They have in there, their biggest recommendation is for us to at least pursue a new production switcher, which is the brains kind of behind the system. But they did also, like our microphones, converters, everything of switching us to a AV over IP system, because that's the new standard. 5 years ago, the standard that we put in is just not the standard anymore. So you have a total project of 43, 76, 67, and that's what they said they would recommend to bring everything up to date. However, they said the city could look at just doing at a bare minimum the production switcher, and that would probably at least help us a lot in the interim. Just knowing that as we experience issues with the microphones, cameras, that kind of thing, that most likely we're gonna have to buy new components because they can't find the pieces to fix them anymore. I don't know, Pat, am I missing anything?
Yeah, I mean, they could get that camera, but they can't get it white. So, not that that really matters a lot on the color. So the camera's still available. I think the mics are not around anymore. They went to a different setup. So I think the receivers up there would be part of that problem too.
So these would not be compatible if that's changed?
No, it would still work.
Okay,
Yeah, if we just change the one piece, everything else will still work.
okay.
It just, and then the next time if we have to replace, if the mics start actually failing, which we've had one over the 5 years that had failed and they had to replace.
Do we have any spares?
No.
How many pieces of equipment is this going to take? Cause you said the one piece.
Well, I assume it's one piece. I'm not sure.
It's the box back there that's got a lot of
So
pieces.
it's a rack with components.
Correct.
in it. Okay.
Right. And the production switcher is, I think, just one component of that rack. And
Okay.
it's like the brains of everything that really it controls everything.
Just looking at the brains of it, it's kind of expensive here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does control a lot, so.
Yeah.
So I guess,
What's your take on this stuff? You know more about it than we do.
That may or may not be the case. Having been through this process a number of times. Yeah, it's like avionics in a plane, you know? Every module in that plane is made by somebody else. Then you have to have a company who can make them all work together. Hopefully that's what these people can do. If, it's a retro, make that stuff work. The next generation of where you're going, it's got to work also. And so basically you have to have a horse with a lot of horsepower on that production equipment. The production equipment we have at school, you actually try to replace it all if you can. If at all feasible, replace it all at the same time, get it all under the same umbrella. And you only have one person to have to call.
Well, I'll be the first one to say that I read through this afternoon. And I recognized about 3 components in the entire thing. And then so I was a little bit hampered by the fact I just don't know what they do and how much we really needed and all that. If it's all needed, then that's great. It's just a matter of, it's a pretty good price tag too.
My concern is the longevity of this
That's
equipment.
exactly.
These are 5 years old and here we are replacing, what do we pay, I was 80?
for everything back then, I want to say it was closer to 90. I mean, off the top of my head, 90,000. And that was this room.
I know it was all of them.
And then the 2 council rooms, and we had a little more components in terms of like network upgrade stuff that we needed as well to interface.
Those other rooms, are they standalones where they don't rely on this rack over here?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So those, they don't get used near as much as this thing.
No.
does, not near as much. I see that, the wear and tear, at least a couple times a week in this room, minimum.
I mean, nobody, I, I don't wanna tuck a dead horse here, but, I just wanna make sure that that if we go ahead with this, that we're not going ahead with it, in 3 or 4 years. I know that technology changes, I'm not naive to that fact. I just wanna make sure this is the right way to go.
My concern
Let me
is,
give you an example, gentlemen, cause it
Okay.
just happened. I got a text from a resident that says my mic is not on. As you can see, it's
It's on.
green. You might get on Josh and see if it's working, but. And it was, I would call it a credible source. It was Dwayne Becker that just texted me.
well, the concern that I do have is that if we get this component replaced, and that's going well, and then in 2 or 3 years, do the rest of these other components start dropping off? Well, we don't know, we just don't know. And
Say, that's the hard part of,
so you just, I mean, is this one of those things you just swallow it and
it
another
brings,
gulp of water?
Guaranteed.
Yeah,
it brings me back to the marquee of, we kept on saying, you know, the component's not a big deal, it's not a big deal. We put it off, and then it finally failed, and then everyone said, why was the marquee down for 3 months, pitch black? And we said, for 2 years, we've been like, you know, the vendor said, when this breaks, it will no longer work. And then we had to wait to get, you know, and that's the issue we run in. I mean, we're not obligated to stream and broadcast, so when things happen, it happens, but
And this company's out of Wichita, correct?
yeah.
I'm being generous on that
Is-
marquee. We went a lot more than 2 years.
yeah, that's true. I guess since one that would ask this question, where do we have the funds set up for this? I mean, or do we have a,
Yeah, it would be city equipment fund, from just our general, I mean, we plan, it's the same pool money that went for the server.
sure. Well, that's a prime example. The server was the other one we dealt with for several years. And we just kind of know that those kind of things come along, you're gonna have to replace them.
And this kind of gives us a good ballpark with the newer components and whatnot of what we can hopefully expect to see, because that was our big question mark as we've been looking at capital planning, was we didn't know exactly component-wise how things were going to fail or go out, so.
Okay, I'm not opposed to it. I was asking my due diligence to ask questions.
But we can, I mean, even they, you know, admit when we asked of, is it possible to phase this in? And they said, yeah, if you were going to do anything absolutely, they, you know, replace the brains. But they very much said, don't wait much longer on the other stuff, because you're gonna, yeah.
So by the switcher and everything in this year's budget, can you get it in fast enough to do that?
I don't know, we'd have turnaround on that.
Everything with next year.
And that's, yeah, I mean, we were also seeing update, because part of it too was, we have an ongoing maintenance plan with them to cover us to try and get, you know, minimize downtime, and that was one of the things of, they were, you know, it's affecting our price because of the age of our equipment too. So,
Yeah, there's not a lot of trade-in on it.
well, and the hours are more because it's just not what they're familiar with anymore.
What do you need from us? Do you need
It-
to go ahead or?
Yeah, I mean, it was, I guess, just open for discussion with you all of, I mean, you have,
There's a lot here, I was looking at all that stuff, I'd like to take at least another meeting to read this stuff and make sure I understand, there's a lot there.
Is it gonna fluctuate much from the next time we meet?
no, and that's, I say, I just
would
didn't know if
say
you
the
guys
bid
wanted
ought
us
to be
to.
good for a little while. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not opposed to it, but I'd sure like to read it a little bit more. Cause when you read it, there's a lot to absorb right there.
Yeah,
It's 40-some thousand, you know, I feel like I ought
And these
to have a
guys-
little more reference on
It's
it.
kind of broken out to, broken down in several other bids or formats. I'd like to make sure I completely understand this before I say, yeah, let's do it.
I think we should continue it to the last meeting in January.
The, I'd say, I just didn't know with the price point. I mean, we use Conference Technology, we bid that project out. And so we've only reached out to Conference Tech because they're familiar with our equipment, what our needs were. And so that was just, again, wanting to push it out of, this
don't
is
have
what
a
they're
problem with
recommending.
that.
Do
I
we,
just-
do you want us to bid it, out
And
again?
like if you went with Kent AV, you would be replacing everything.
Yep.
Probably including some
Well,
cabling too.
at least with that, if we did have somebody come in and look, and they're not saying they're high or whether they're low, then we'll have an idea whether we're in the right ballpark. I don't see anything wrong with bidding something.
Yeah.
Especially at that kind of cost, just to make it fair. That's my
These
opinion.
things need to be done, they need, like, his mic's not on, and
Yeah,
it needs to be taken care of.
yeah,
I'd
there's
like
no
to
doubt
look
about
into this a
that.
little
I
bit
just,
more.
I want to be prudent with what we do here. I think that's important. We can get one more if it's not that big a deal.
Yep, we can reach out.
Yeah, please.
If you don't mind, I'd like to make a motion to continue this to, as the mayor said, in probably the last meeting in January.
Is that
If you have something back,
just,
You got something to say there?
no, it's just with us having the pending change to Wednesday, I'm trying to, yeah. I think you can say last meeting in January, that'll leave it open of whether it's a Monday or Wednesday.
okay. I'll second that.
All right, we're we have a motion and a second to continue this discussion for the last meeting in January. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. You guys have fun with that one. We do have one executive session on our agenda this evening, and I would entertain the motion for that meeting shortly. As soon as Ethan's done writing it up.
Sorry, Jim.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the Halstead City Council recess into executive session to discuss performance of the city manager and maintain privacy rights, personnel matters for non-elected personnel, exemption KSA 754319B1 to include the city manager to reconvene at 7:50.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to enter into executive session. All in favor, say aye.
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 Those same sign, we are in executive session. We'll move to the conference room behind Ethan's office. We are back from our executive session. Is there any action to be taken as a result of that?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve new employment contract with Ethan Reimer and authorize for the mayor to sign the contract.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve a new contract with the city manager. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. That carries. Now that moves us on to the report section of the agenda, and governing body comments are first tonight. I will start with you, Jim.
Just wanted to wish everybody a happy holidays and, be safe and have fun and enjoy the family. And if you get a chance, go down and look at the park. It's fantastic at night. So, that's it.
Charlie, you're up.
I have a long list. I'll keep it short because mine's, I'll stick with the safety issues. I'm sure the chief could let people know that headlights come on, and they stay on and half hour after and come on a half hour before. Sure like to make sure that happens. I'm thinking, how has this body ever been as forward-thinking as the 254 Expressway? And I don't know if any of you even recognize what that is. An extension from 254 to Goddard. It's been in the works since the 1990s. They have all the easements. Now it's just a matter of finding a path that they want to use to get there. But that's a long-term plan. And I know we're looking to review it at our city plan. But I don't know that we've looked that far ahead, but it sure it'd be prudent on our sides to do that, to look that far in the future. And another thing, and I know it could cause a burr, but, when they put a nuclear power plant a mile down in Labette County, that's amazing. I don't know how safe it's going to be, but that's just amazing. And that's forward thinking. I'd like to think that this community would be forward thinking also. That's all.
All right, George?
I just would like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and enjoy time with your families.
I think it was last meeting where I said I was gonna drive down and take a look at Riverside Park and the lights down there. I did that. Looked beautiful. I mean, for their first year, I think the Community Foundation knocked that out of the park, and can't wait to see what they do over the next several years, see how that progresses. Just wanna wish everybody a safe and Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I'll be back for one more after the first of the year. We'll see you then, and for now, I'll turn it over to Ethan for his manager report.
Thank you. City staff finished up the lease purchase agreement for the new fire engine, and Director Lowe is currently on his way back from Georgia with the new apparatus. Final terms of the lease purchase with the Halstead Bank were for 6 years at 4.25% interest with a principal amount of $500,000. Excuse me, and the city will have quarterly payments in the amount of $23,810.86. Staff have begun working on the process for acquisition of the new dump truck for Public Works with the approved vendor. Interviews continue for the 2 open full-time positions. Excuse me, one in the police department and the other in parks. Year-end finalization and wrap-up have been the primary focus of most departments. Knudsen and Monroe staff have been on site the previous week for their preliminary 2025 audit field work. I should have grabbed a water. Preliminary engineering design work continues on the wastewater treatment plant project and the North Street project. It sounds like we have most of the right-of-way and easement issues with Burlington Northern now resolved, so the project engineers are hoping to get that out to bid in the near future. We are still waiting on KDOT Legal to send us the final agreements on the Innovative Technology Grant for the GIS inventory of streets and the stormwater system. Thank you, Julie. But are in place to get that project moving as soon as we have those agreements. Staff are also working with the downtown businesses who receive signs grant funding to get those projects finalized by year end. So hopefully we should see some new business signs going up on Main Street. Offices will be closed on Thursday and Friday for the Christmas holiday, and then again on Thursday of next week for New Year's. And then finally, a reminder for all current governing body that you do have one more meeting to attend on January 12th to wrap up the few routine business items prior to the new governing body members being sworn in and seated. And that is all I have this evening, unless any of you have any questions.
Anybody have any questions of Ethan's report?
No.
If not, that concludes our agenda, and I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to approve, sir.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you, council.